Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I understand we have until 12 o'clock to complete this part of the debate.
The gentleman is correct.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would yield to myself such time as I might consume.
The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in my office, I keep a photo of about a dozen Kurdish mothers whose bodies are strewn across the hillside in northern Iraq, holding their babies killed in mid-stride where they were gassed to death by Saddam Hussein. And as I've listened to some folks in this debate talk about what they consider to be an immoral war, an illegal war, an occupation that that is not consistent with morality, I hearken back to that picture and the thousands of people that it represents, and I hearken back also to the exhuming of mass graves with again mothers shot in the back of the head with a .45 caliber pistol by Saddam Hussein's executioners, and with their little babies similarly with holes in the back of their skulls. Mr. Speaker, this operation in Iraq is indeed a moral operation. It represents the goodness of the American people. And I'm also reminded of something that lots of folks haven't talked about, and that's the goodness that we brought with the 3 million plus babies who have been vaccinated, with the hundreds of schools and hospitals that have been built, and with all those expectant mothers who were given prenatal care by the Americans so that their children would be born in a healthy fashion. But Mr. Speaker, I recall that in 1984, Ronald Reagan very eloquently asked the American people to support him in bringing freedom to the people of El Salvador. And I remember his speech, and in his speech he hearkened back to another American who had appealed to us in bringing freedom to another part of the world which was at that time endangered, and that was Greece in 1947. And the communists were very close to victory in Greece, and Harry Truman appealed to the American people in a joint session of Congress. And he said, "The free peoples of the world look to us for support in maintaining their freedoms. If we falter, we may endanger the peace of the world, and we shall surely endanger the welfare of this nation." Now, we have no guarantee of victory in Iraq. There's no battle plan that comes with a guarantee of victory. But I'll tell you one thing that's very clear. What is happening in Iraq and our efforts in Iraq are connected and are watched by every terrorist in the world. And that connection is established and travels as fast as the speed of electrons. In this age of television and technology and high-paced, fast media and the internet, they see what we're doing. And that connection, Mr. Speaker, was made when the Beirut bombings occurred against the Marines in the Marine barracks in Beirut. In fact, I think Mr. Skelton was with me, and we were over there very shortly before those bombings occurred. They're connected, and the terrorist world watched very closely when there was no response to that. They watched very closely when there was no response in the Khobar Towers with respect to the coal, and an extremely anemic response with respect to the bombings in the embassy in Africa. Now, we are undertaking an important and difficult mission. And, you know, Mr. Speaker, I pointed out before that that at least one brigade of the 82nd Airborne is already in place in Baghdad, now engaged in the operation. And we have a brigade of the Big Red One moving now toward the theater. And I believe we have right at 4,000 members of the 82nd Airborne now in country in Iraq. And we have Iraqi soldiers and Americans engaged in the 9 sectors of the city already undertaking this operation and this plan that has been developed by our warfighting commanders. The idea that we are here poised to retroactively condemn an operation that our soldiers are already carrying out is, to my mind, remarkable. There's not going to be any force in effect with respect to this vote that will take place shortly that will do anything but send the wrong message to America's allies. And I think you've seen comments by some of our allies over the last several weeks with respect to the message that we send out. And we're interesting people, aren't we, Mr. Speaker? We send out messages with all the electronic gadgets in the world to convey these messages to the entire world. And then we say, you know, we really didn't mean what you take our statements to mean, and we really didn't intend to give anybody the wrong message. We still support the troops. Well, Mr. Speaker, we've got a number of great members of the Armed Services Committee that I want to yield to, and I'm going to come back later and talk a little bit about this war against terror and the centerpiece that is Iraq and the centerpiece of that which is this plan. You know, I was thinking there was a statement once that in a little hut in Central America, when we were standing up to the communists and we were providing a shield for El Salvador while that fragile democracy stood up, there was a hut in El Salvador which reportedly had the writing on it, "Thank God for Ronald Reagan." And I'm wondering if some trooper in the 82nd Airborne, in the 2nd Brigade of the 82nd Airborne, may one day write on a wall in Baghdad, maybe on Friday when we take this vote, this is the day in which the American Congress condemned the mission that we are carrying out today. So, Mr. Speaker, I will reserve the balance of my time, and I'd like to yield